So yeah, Morocco, they speak four languages. It's a it's a popular destination, and it's become more and more popular in the last 5 6 years. I'm never going to say it was off the beaten path, but it was just not as popular as some of the other countries. Like, even compared to Egypt, it was not as popular. But Morocco just really took off the chart, and I think a lot of it had to do with all those poses that people are doing on Instagram of like the
Well,
blue town
I was
showing
going to
and
say it's the Blue Street, right?
yeah, there you go. So, it kind of starts off with that, and everybody says, wait a minute, she's there. I should be there too, taking that same photo type of thing.
Hmm.
And all those hotspots that you see on those Instagram pics, we take you to all of them pretty much. And
Well,
then there's
how?
also these movies that were done in the Atlas Studios in Morocco, and that also put the
Ah,
country on the map. So if it wasn't Instagram, it was the movies or a little bit of both. It's become popular.
so I know this probably is totally off, but I when I think of Morocco, I think of Casablanca. But is that totally wrong?
Because you're thinking about that movie too.
Right,
That's
right.
yeah. Casablanca isn't among the most beautiful cities in the country. It's
Mm.
much more of a modern city. We do take you there for a half a day, and it's usually out of Casablanca. You fly out.
Ah,
So
okay.
Canadians and Americans will typically fly into Marrakesh, which is definitely one of the most popular spots, not just
Hmm.
in Morocco, but in all of Africa. Um, and you fly out of Casablanca. If you're European, typically instead of Casablanca, we take you from the Blue Village, Chef Shawan it's called. We take you to Tangier, and then from Tangier, the Europeans go
Ah,
back to Europe. So there's a little split there, typically, depending on where you start from. So Casablanca, it's okay. I mean, you got the beach there and some other things. The mosque is really nice.
mm.
Um, that I really enjoyed. But from all the places that you're going to remember in Morocco, I would say Casablanca a little bit less.
Okay. Well, that kind of is disappointing since that's one of my favorite movies, but that's okay.
Well, that
I
mosque,
do.
tell
Go
me.
ahead. I was just going to say I do send many, many clients to Morocco. It is a very, very popular destination. So I'm very curious. I don't think I've ever booked your tour there, though. So I'm curious to Morocco. So follow me, subscribe anyway, and you'll see all about Japan. And maybe we'll do a show on Japan another time. I don't know. You don't do a tour there.
I should because so many people ask me about tours in Japan. It
Yeah.
really is. It's silly that I don't. I have, um, yeah, I get requests every week for it.
Yeah, it's not surprising. It's an incredibly popular destination right now. It was so packed, packed with Americans. Oh my God. I was there 14 years ago and we were like the only Americans. They stopped us everywhere because my daughter has blonde hair and blue eyes and nobody, they thought she was a celebrity. So, anyway, back to Morocco. So, how many days is your Morocco trip?
Okay, so we're talking about Morocco. All right, let's
Yes.
do it. Um, just for those who weren't here already, or if there's technical errors from before, it's a country in the northwest part of Africa. They speak four languages over there. A lot of them speak Berber, Arabic, French, and even English. So it's a multilingual country. The tour
Hmm.
that we typically do is 11 days
Okay.
to cover the highlights over there. And we do it all by land. There are no domestic flights on this tour. So we really cover a
Mm.
lot.
Do you use buses or what do you use as the transportation between the areas?
So you start this tour in Marrakesh, which is
Hmm.
one of the most popular destinations, and not just Morocco, but in all of Africa. Um, you arrive in there, we pick you up from the airport, and locally you're going to be just be taken by car and by foot to the different attractions. And from Morocco, from Marrakesh, you make day trips. One is to this place called Uzud Falls. There are these beautiful waterfalls. And you take like a little boat to get really close to it. Um,
Mm.
so it's a popular spot for sure. Really nice nature. And then another day we take you by car, private car, to Escuela, and this one is by the water. So it's a coastal town. If you're lucky, you also see these goats sitting on these trees. They're like these
Ah,
tree goats.
I've seen
There's no
pictures of
guarantee.
that.
There's no guarantee to see them,
Mm.
but if they're there, we definitely make a stop because who doesn't want to stop and take photos with them? They're these cute little goats, and yeah, it's a something that you're not going to see elsewhere. You're not going to see that in Beverly Hills. So yeah, something unique.
That yeah, that's very cool. So, being in Africa, it's not exactly the way that you envision Africa with the safaris and all of that. It's how would you describe the difference in this section, this area, region?
Quite a few, to be honest. I mean, there are some similarities, especially when you get into the Sahara Desert, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Mm.
But remember, I mean, some of the oldest human bones were found in Morocco.
Hmm.
You know, bones of humans that go back like 200,000 years. Um, so, from that sense, yeah, it does feel like Africa. But in terms of all those animals and being out in the safari, like you said, no, that's further south of
Right,
Morocco. Morocco, it's a lot of like bazaar towns, you know, like I mean, bazaar like souks, you know, like these flea market type of things. Um,
right.
it's got
Not
that,
bizarre, strange. It's a bazaar like you're shopping.
yeah, not bizarre, bazaar, a not a I. Good point. Um, but they're like, it's like a maze like streets, things like that. They got a blue town over there called
Hmm.
Chefchaouen. So it is, to be honest with you, it's a quite unique country. Um, there are not a lot of countries that I've been to from the 100 that I've now visited extensively. That's like Morocco. Morocco is definitely unique in its character,
Hmm.
different from
So,
Egypt, different from Spain. Um, yeah, and you see some elements of this and that. I mean, when you go into the south of Spain, you'll see some similarities with some of the architecture and stuff. But just the
hmm.
feel of Morocco, it feels very distinct to Morocco, and not really. I feel like okay, I'm like in another country right now. No, it's its own thing for sure.
And I think, yeah, knowing the movie of Casablanca, there has been different, oh, what do you call it? Different countries that have taken over this area. So there's influences from all sorts of different countries.
Yeah, it's gone back and forth. So Spain, when it took them, well, initially they had gone into Spain. You know, they took over, they took all of Spain and into the south of France.
Hmm.
So the Moroccan Empire, they're pretty strong, those guys. And
Hmm.
they got, they were out of Spain in the same year that the Europeans came to the Americas, 1492.
Hmm.
So just a coincidence, but yeah, there was like Isabel and Fernando, and they basically said with like the Moroccans, like, you know, we're taking this thing back, and
Hmm.
there was a big old war and everything else. But yeah, so Morocco had influenced Spain and parts of France, and later on, France and Spain got strong, and then they ended up taking over parts of Morocco. Until this day, there's land on like the African continent, which would look like it's part of Morocco that are actually owned by Spain. There's a couple of very small little dots over there until this day owned by
Hmm.
Spain. France has more influence over modern day Morocco than
Hmm.
Spain, and that's part of the reason why they speak French. Almost everybody there speaks French.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, yeah, they all kind of got in each other's stuff, and you know, kind of trespassing and sorry about that, and then now it's my turn to do it to you type of thing. And
Right.
2025, here we are, like, you know, scusa, let's just send each other tours and call it a day, you know?
So you do have lots of. It's not like going to a third world country in Morocco. You have beautiful luxury hotels, great infrastructure. Right, we're not talking about the way that you think of a lot of the African countries as being more third world.
Parts of it seem undeveloped, and I'll tell you exactly where. So you first arrive in Marrakesh. That city in itself, it's going to kind of depend where in the city you are, because the main square is this just big open market. That's essentially what it is. It's just this huge market, and they're very much in your face in Marrakesh. That's where most people head to first when they get to Morocco. That's like everybody's, like the number one thing, the first thing they do when they arrive into the country, go to that main square. Um, it's a fun place to be because there's always things to do, but it also doesn't give the right first impression, just because you got people in your face and they got snakes and they got all this stuff and they've got music and guys playing music and trying to, like, play you a song and you tip them and all this kind of stuff. So of course, that's your first impression of the country, and you're like, oh, okay, this is what all of Morocco is like. It's not, because when you're taken outside of that main square and when you're taken to other cities, all of a sudden nobody's in your face anymore. It's just you say hi and they say hi, and you say bye and they say bye, and you just think, well, I thought everything's like that main square in Marrakesh. It's not. So that's just FYI for people who get to Morocco. The first impression is not going to be the what you're going to be experiencing every single day. It's still fun. I enjoyed when I was there last, just spending time in that main square, because you just see people doing a bunch of stuff that you're not going to be seeing elsewhere. I mean, you just, like I said about you got monkeys, and here's a guy doing some crazy stuff with monkeys, and then here's a guy with the, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and then here's coming the snake, and
The snake.
yeah, the
And
snake's
belly
coming out.
dancers, I assume.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, so yeah, I mean, in the more developed countries, you probably wouldn't see this. So you know you're not in Sweden, for example, um, but it's fun nonetheless. It's definitely fun nonetheless. Now the hotels are very nice. They're very nice, um, and what makes them especially special is the historic charm to them. So they're called riads. Riads, RIAD.
Yes.
And some people don't want them. Some people just want like the modern type of hotels, just a little bit outside of the city center. We and you could provide that as well. But most people say, no, I'm in Morocco. I want to feel that palace-like ambiance of staying at a hotel, like like
Right.
the kings and all of them used to stay in, back in the day type of thing. And they did a wonderful job in terms of decorating these hotels. Um, and just the service at these hotels and everything else. It really does feel like um, what's a good word for it? But royalty.
Palatial. Yeah.
Royalty. That was the word I was looking for.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So people love Moroccan hotels. That's not really a problem. So I keep on going. So you got to stop me at some point. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'll give you some drinking time every so often. But so in Morocco or in Marrakesh, how many days are you going to be stationed there?
Um, you're stationed there for 4 days. Not that you're spending 4 days to see it, but you also use it as a base from which to make day trips. So the first day, some people will arrive in Casablanca, and we got to pick them up from the airport and transfer them to Marrakesh. We try to avoid that if possible. Most people can avoid that, and they can fly into Marrakesh, fly out of Casablanca or Tangier. Um, but one way or another, day one, we've gotten you to Marrakesh. We take you to your hotel, and depending on what time you've arrived, we will show you as many sites as we can, taking you to that main square that I had described, taking you to some of the bazaars, the flea markets, and some of those like small streets and everything else. Um, it's definitely impressive, and you see just the volume of quality stuff they have for sale over there. Um, it's it's impressive. It's almost sad because there's so much. I mean, if the stuff was in the U.S., this stuff would get bought up like crazy. Um, and this is not junk. This is really like you
Aw.
look at the stuff and you just say, "My gosh, there's so much of this." There's lamps, there's silverware, they're everything. I mean, they put their
Mm.
heart into designing this stuff.
I don't know if
Uh,
you saw, Charlie, but Hey Marrakesh, their visiting tourist bureau, just commented thanking us for our kind words on Marrakesh. So good job.
that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Um, so yeah, that first day you go and see as much as we can, depending on your arrival time. The second day is when we take you to the Uzud Falls.
Mm.
Um, and don't be surprised if some monkeys jump on your back. Really, I'm not kidding. It's kind of part of the. If you don't want that, don't have any foods in your hand. We tell you that
Well,
before you actually get there. But some people want it. Some people like say, okay, I'm prepared for the monkey to get on my shoulder or whatever. So they'll just take some food there. Yeah, taking that boat ride really close to the falls is a lot of fun. That third day, I kind of started telling you about that
mm,
coastal town, Essaouira, and going to make a stop at those trees where you see the those little goats or lambs.
mm,
Um, although in more recent times they're not as often there. The other popular stop on that third day is to the argan oil factory. Um, Women especially know argan products,
mm,
argan oils. They're very popular on Amazon because this is the stuff like for anti-aging and for
mm.
skincare. So it's in the soaps, it's in the shampoos, it's in the conditioners. So when we take our female customers to this place, they go pretty wild. They go pretty wild and want to buy everything up. The one thing we tell them is even if you like the stuff and we know you're going to like the stuff, you just don't show your emotions. You know what I mean? Just the same way the guy needs to
Mm.
behave with the girl, not show how much he likes her. Okay, the same thing the girl has to be with all the products inside the argan oil factory. Um, the main thing is like if they see you're that excited, it's going to be much harder to negotiate with them because there's not fixed prices for anything. Everything's
Mm.
negotiable over there. Um,
So this is in the entire country you're talking about bargaining is the way to buy.
Everything's for bargaining, but in and around Marrakesh, it's much stronger, which is in the far south. Once you
Mm,
start getting to Fez and these other places, they're much more relaxed. It's
mm.
it's you really you see it and feel it. Like they just um, it's just a normal conversation with them. In the south, is a little bit more like yeah, blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Right.
Um,
Kind of like going to New York City in America versus, I can't think of some other
yeah,
city.
Alabama,
Thank
Alabama.
you. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like going to the big city where they take more advantage of tourism kind of situation.
Yeah, it's probably also because Marrakesh has always been um, the most popular destination in the country. So,
Mm,
I think like the focus has been more on tourists.
hmm.
Whereas when you start leaving Marrakesh and you go in elsewhere like Fez, which is further up and then even up more, the focus hasn't been so much on what the tourists are doing and thinking. It's more about this is just us being us, and you're coming to see us.
Right.
You know? But Marrakesh is still a good place. It's a very fun place, and the attractions over there are beautiful. I mean, there's some gorgeous architecture in these places, um, and that's why we on the fourth day give you a full day just to explore in and around Marrakesh. I mean, there's like 18 main markets over there,
Mm,
um, and they're all fun. They're all really fun with different things, and not just carpets and silverware and stuff like that. But you've got spices, you've got food, you've got sweets. Um, it's entertaining. That's what it is, And then
yeah.
at the end of the day, you go back into the main square and you see those acrobats and the drummers and
Mm.
um, that kind of stuff. Sometimes people they just kind of want to distance themselves from it. I really embrace it. Like I'll just find a guy and pay him a little something and say, "Okay, you're with me tonight," and I'll just he'll play his music or whatever. And I'll have my dinner and I want him to play for me all night long. You know, um, So to each his own. So once you've left Marrakesh, we're now on the fifth day.
Mhm.
We're going to be leaving Marrakesh and going through um, the gorges. The
Hmm.
gorges. Um, some companies make the mistake of just making a day trip from Marrakesh out into the gorges, making you feel like you're getting a little taste of the Sahara Desert and all this. And no, it's really not the right way to do it at all. The
So
right
do
way,
you, I'm sorry, I was just going to ask, give you a chance to take a drink. um, so do you actually stay out in the Sahara Desert in a tent, or how do you do it?
that's right. So we had talked about 4 days in and around Marrakesh. On the fifth day, we're now leaving Marrakesh, and
Mm,
we're going to be relocating to this small town called Dades, Dades.
mm,
But there's stops to make en route. It's not just going there and calling it a day. No, there's important places to visit before reaching your final destination.
mm,
The first one is this village called Et Ben Haidu, and this is a mountain village, which is like one of the postcard photos of Morocco. It's a very beautiful place.
mm,
So a lot of times, if you just put like on Google Morocco attractions or Morocco pretty towns or something like that, this is one of the first things that's going to pop up. It's just um, a well preserved historic mountain town
mm,
that you just very much, and there's beautiful viewpoints for this place as well. It's a good place to spend a couple of hours. It's a tiny
mm,
place, but a
mm,
beautiful place nonetheless. Um, After that, and after having some lunch, we take you to Urzazate, and that's where they did the movie. And
mm,
not just one movie; they've done a lot of movies there at the Atlas Studios. Um,
mm.
so, like the Mummy, the Mummy was one of them. I
Yes.
think the Gladiator, Game of Thrones was done over there. If I can
Mm.
remember correctly. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but
Indiana
um,
Jones has to be there somewhere.
I'm not sure. But I'll take your word on it.
Okay, now I have to look it up.
So, yeah, just so that town is associated with the Atlas Studios.
Mm,
Um, and then at the end of that day, after seeing the studios and after the beautiful village mountain, um, then you end up in Dades and you have dinner at the hotel. It's a good way to kind of end your day. You sleep there just for one night. So on the sixth morning, now we wake up, and this is for me the most beautiful nature in all of Morocco. Day
mm,
six is like the cream of the crop in terms of seeing the nature. This is why I don't recommend people go from Marrakesh and just make a little day trip into there and then just come back to Marrakesh. You have to
mm.
go deep into it and go out a different way. So,
Right.
um, there's the Dades Gorges, and there's like it's like rugged, like gorges carved out by the river. That's what this is. This
Mm,
stuff is millions of years old. And the drive, it's a very very scenic drive to see all these different gorges and stuff. And we make lots of stops because you're going to want to take photos at these places.
mm.
Because you're going to see
So
gorges, you're going to see canyons.
is it like rivers through the gorges so that you can do some rafting or something like that, or nothing like that in that area?
There's enough river to where you're going to want to stop and take photos because it's pretty, but not enough for rafting. So it's
Mm,
more of it's a day of like scenic stops for photo
okay.
taking and stuff like that, um, and lots of stops like that. We also make a stop at this village called Risani. That's where the most famous pizza from
Mm,
Morocco is from. Um, I think it's called Madfuna, Madfuna, something like that. Um, so after that, and having that pizza over there, you go to Erchebi. That's where the luxury camp, because you had asked me about that camp. That's where it's
mm,
located. It's outside the town. It's called Merzuga.
mm,
So, and these are nice. Um, these are really nice tents. There's usually Wi-Fi, and the tent has a shower. It's got a bathroom inside there and everything. So you're happy that you're there. You're not just like sleeping on the floor and not showering. You've got your own bed and the whole thing, but it's just like in a nice tent. And there's entertainment, there's music, there's really good food over there.
Mm,
Um, and this is where the Sahara Desert is. This is where the those big red sand dunes and all of that.
mm.
That's where all of it is. And we don't when we get there, we don't just relax and do nothing. No, we still go. We go camel riding on that day. You got a tour guide for that. Um, and then just dance. There's some dancing and traditional show with music and fire. You're by the fire pit and all that kind of stuff. So it's a packed day for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, Charlie knows everything about everywhere in the world. Hey, Marrakesh is impressed with your knowledge that you know it like a local.
I don't know who said that, but thank you. So
So I'm sorry. When you're in the tents, so I think that most people these days with Instagram, you understand a luxury tent. They're very common in Africa where going on safaris, and it's luxury. You're not in a tent. It's not like going camping. So, do they have like belly dancing at kind of entertainment in Morocco?
less belly dancing is more like Egypt. So they
Mm,
have the tribes, the real tribes, like the Berber people, and they look a little bit different from elsewhere in the country. Like
mm,
you just tell they look different. These guys, they've got their own language. Remember, they got the Berber language, and they got their own costumes and whatnot. And
mm,
obviously, they love their culture, and they're showing it to you in the Sahara Desert with the music and the costumes and the dances that they do. And then they really like it when tourists get up and dance with them.
mm.
Um, it's not hard to please these guys. It's just they like to kind of engage more and whatnot. So if you're not shy, get up and just dance along with them. There's like but you're dancing next to the fire. That's what it is.
Mm.
There's a big fire pit, and then um, just kind of go with the flow. Just don't catch yourself on fire. That's all.
And is the food my the way I'm imagining it is the food you eat with your hands? Is it that you're like sitting on cushions eating with your hands, or is it nothing like what I'm thinking?
Uh, you have both. There are some people that will eat with their hands. It's not as common over there. Fork is still more common,
Mm,
but you're going to have both options. I mean, there are certain dishes that you just eat more with your hands, but no, it's not so much like in Ethiopia or in those other countries where they're predominantly eating with their hands.
okay.
It's much less the case in Morocco with that. Um, but in any case, on the seventh day, we've now
Hmm.
woken up. We're still at the tent at the luxury camp. Um, so you go quad riding in the morning.
Mm,
And then you see the sand dunes right in the morning, nice and bright after the sun has risen, and you're going to see a little bit of a different tint to the sand. Because
mm,
it's always red, but there's different shades of red and stuff like that. So, the night before you went camel riding,
mm,
and now you're going on the quad right in the morning. So you see it both from the evening and in the morning, two different perspectives. Um,
mm,
something to give you a heads up on. The internet works very well over there, and
mm.
when I was there last, I was able to call people with no interruption, no nothing, and I was making a joke like, back home I could be in downtown LA. There's like nobody can hear me. The reception's horrible, but I'm in the middle of Sahara Desert, and everybody can hear me just fine. And it's just like I don't know, but
There's no interference.
no interference. I guess that's right. Um,
What about the weather, though? When you're in the desert, people are surprised that it gets cold. So is in the morning, or is it more chilly, and then you have to start layering and taking off layers as the day goes on?
you have a little jacket in the morning, but it to be honest with you, it's not that cold.
Hmm.
So November through April is usually when we recommend that people visit Morocco, unless you only want to go for beaches. If you want to go for beaches, then May through October is better.
Hmm.
Um, but even November through March, April, um, it doesn't get too cold. When you get up in the mountains, more, of course. But
Right.
I think just a little jacket, you're okay. These
Okay.
places, a little bite, but
So,
nothing.
Charlie, we're on day 6 or 7.
7,
7. Okay, and we're a 10-day tour, 11-day.
11 days, yeah.
Okay, I'm just calculating because we have 20 minutes left. So we
I
sometimes go off tangents and, and then we don't get the whole tour done. So let's stay on task.
All right, all right. So that's your nice way of Charlie saying, "Come on, get to it." Um, okay, on the 7th day, we take you now to Fez, which has one of the oldest universities on this planet. It's one of the
Mm,
first universities on this planet. And of course, we make some stops along the way because it is a long drive on that 7th day.
mm,
There's a beautiful valley where we stop and take some photos, and then there's this forest where you see these
mhm,
really pretty monkeys over
mm.
there. Fez is a really different type of place, although it's also like a city with a bunch of souks like Marrakesh and whatnot. It feels very different because I had told you earlier that it's less focused on tourists and it's more about just them. And this is who we
Right.
are and how we live. And you're coming to see us doing our thing now, you know.
Mm,
Um, so it's still set up for tourism. It still has like tourism infrastructure and all the things you need, but it's much more authentic in Fez. And the way you see things over there, a lot of it is no different than what it was like 400 years ago.
mm,
I mean, the welders, like in the old town, like the guys just sitting there like welding stuff.
mhm.
They even have like a market out there. Um, how can I describe this thing? Like, you know how we have the stock market in New York? They have their
Right.
own version of that, and it's not for like big multinational corporations, but it's basically like these guys will come in here and they're kind of calculating value of certain thing that's sold and now what's the current value of the wool skin and uh,
Mm,
I mean their whole calculations and all this stuff. It's like my gosh, like you're stepping back in time. There's certain parts
mm,
of Fez where you really feel like you're stepping back hundreds of years, and they're
mm,
not trying to entertain you. That's just how they do it. And what will freak you out more is you drive 15, 20 minutes outside of that, and you're in a shopping mall that looks
mhm.
exactly like it would in the West. And this is only a 20-minute drive from each other. And you
Mm,
just say, how can I go back and forth 400 years in a 20-minute drive?
mm,
That's the world that we live in today.
mm.
And it's a fascinating one. Um,
So are we
so
staying in Fez or are you just driving through?
no. You stay in Fez. There's a lot to see
Oh,
there. I mean, there's
okay.
jewelry shops. There's some beautiful gates over there, like monuments and whatnot. There's some beautiful
Mm,
markets with some food markets. There's a place where you got like dyed wools and skin. So another
mm,
photo that you'll find, if you just put photos of Morocco, famous attractions, whatever, you're going to see a place um, where people are like they're in this like circular tubs with different colors.
mm,
So that's a big attraction in Africa, in all of Africa. Everybody knows about this place, and it's in
mm.
Fez, and that's where they go to dye the clothes. Like you want your clothes red or green or whatever it is, that's where they go and
Ah,
dye it. So it does have a smell to it. Just to give you a heads up, when you're dyeing clothes, the dye smell is a strong one. But it's fascinating because it's not a tiny little thing. There's a viewpoint, and it's just huge, absolutely
mm,
huge. And there's lots of people working their tail off, getting dirty, getting inside there to dye clothes.
mm.
So this is authentic. This is another one of those things where they're not doing this to impress you. They're doing
Right.
this because that's what they do.
Mm,
You know.
yep.
And there's other cool things that you see, like they got this, brass, like working shops and all this kind of stuff. They work a lot with their hands in Fez. It's very much that type of place. They like working with their hands.
Mm,
Um, on the 8th day, we're doing a lot more sightseeing in Fez. Um, you go into some fortresses, and you've got other like that university I told you about. There's
Mm,
beautiful city views and souks and all this kind of stuff. They got some palaces that you can see as well that are really nice. Um, so we really pack it with landmarks on that 8th day
mm.
of just things that you can see. So people
And
like it.
these aren't the same kind of palatial hotels that we're used to from Marrakesh. This is a different kind of hotel in Fez.
They're both riads.
Mm,
So I wouldn't say they're so different from each other. They're both nice. Um, I would say that Marrakesh has more of them, but Fez still has a good share of them. So for
mm,
those who want to stay in the riads, they can,
mm,
both destinations. Um,
mm.
in my personal opinion, it's good to stay in it both times. Just how many, you can't do it too many times in your life. So do it when you're in. But if people want the more modern hotels, they're there as well.
Right, right.
So on this day, on the 8th day, we also take you to a local's home. So
Mm,
you are introduced to them, and then they take you to the local market. You go shopping for food together, and then you go back to their house, and they'll talk to you and everything. You usually have like a granddaughter or grandson who speaks English, and they will explain to you, about the family or whatever you want to talk about, and they're showing you how the food's made. That's an experience because usually you have like a grandmother, and she's got hands like bricks. I mean, and they're strong. I mean, it's like you feel like a little child compared to like, because the grandma, like when I was there last, like, there's the food that's
mm,
being put inside, right?
mm.
Inside the oven. Well, she just goes and takes her hand and grabs the stuff out with her hands. Like,
Ah.
yeah, I'm just like, man, I mean, that's a strong woman right there. Um, but they're sweetheart for women. They got smiles on their face. They love taking photos with you. They're very like hospitable and thankful that you've wanted to spend your evening with them, and
Mm.
they want you to have a good meal. They want you to feel like you've had an authentic experience with an authentic family, and that their food is going to be the best that you've had in all your trip so far. It's
Wow, that's
that
awesome.
kind of heartfelt experience that you get over there after spending the whole day seeing all these different landmarks.
Mm. Yeah, and I
Um,
find that clients really appreciate those kinds of experiences where it is really what it's all about with travel is experiencing someone else's culture and life and understanding how different it is from ours. So yeah, I love those kinds of activities.
mm, mm. The 9th day is when we leave Fez and we relocate to Chef Shawan. That's that blue mountain town we had
Ah,
talked
okay.
about a little bit earlier.
Yes.
Um, and that's where the Instagram photos come from. Every
Hmm.
street, everything there's something just interesting to see. Um, the whole town is just like a piece of art.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, people just make sure you have plenty of space on your phone because taking too many photos of all this stuff
Yeah.
over there. And they've got nice artwork. Um, and for me, it's still a pretty authentic place, although it's popular. They haven't let that kind of take over their local culture.
Mm.
Um, you'll still go into like bakeries, like into people's homes and stuff like that. And you see like how people are inside each other's homes, and you got the baker and you got the guy cutting the hair and you got all this kind of stuff. So
Mm.
it's another one of those places like this is how we live. You're welcome to come see it, but we're not going to do it for you. We're doing it because this is just who we are, that kind of thing.
Are you spending the night in that city?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The hotel that we typically use is not inside the town, but it's just on the mountain outside of it
Mm.
because it's one of the better hotels there, and you get a beautiful view of the town from there as well.
Okay.
So, and it's all walking. Like in Fez and Marrakesh, we do need to use the car a little bit. It's half and half, driving,
Mm.
walk, driving, walk. Chef Shawan, once we've left your hotel and taking you to town, it's all walking. Everything that you're going to
Mm,
want to see over there.
okay.
Um, and on the 10th day, now this is going to depend. Are you American or Canadian who's eventually going to go home to um, North America, or are you European? And if that's the
Mm,
case, you go to Tangier. So on that 10th day, we
mm,
go to one of those two destinations, depending on where your final destination is. For those who go to Casablanca, the main attraction there is the mosque.
mm,
Um, Most mosques in Morocco are not open to non-Muslims.
mm,
The exception to the rule is the one in Casablanca. I've been to both Casablanca and Tangier. I was very much impressed with that mosque. And when I was in Morocco last, it was during Ramadan.
mm,
That was beautiful. That really was a beautiful thing, and I'm glad I went during that time. Ramadan does not affect anything with tourism. The restaurants are still
mm.
open for tourists. Everything's still open for tourists. It's just Ramadan's for them, you know. But
Okay.
you're gonna see the beautiful things that come out of it. So
Mm,
they're fasting all day long. So it's now like 7 o'clock at night. If you're driving, you've got people on the side of the road who've got food for the drivers because they know they haven't eaten all day. So they're
oh,
like they're just literally trying to be nice to hand them food, or everybody
mm,
takes the break at 7 o'clock, so they just go to the nearest restaurant, and all the restaurants are full now, and there's um, there's nowhere to sit. You can't get your own table, so you just to the guy next to you, "Hey, can I sit with you guys?" You know, so
mm,
it's that sense of brotherhood, and that's the time when they're like at their nicest to each
mm,
other. Time where it's just like, hey, we're family, we're one big family type of thing.
mm,
And when I had stayed in Casablanca, they were doing the what it called the chants. They're
mm,
doing the prayers and whatnot.
mm,
And I was allowed to actually go there and see it. It's a strong feeling. My gosh,
mm.
um, with just the level of discipline and everything else. Of they know exactly when to stand up. They know when to kneel. They know when to bow their head down.
Mhm.
And the one who's singing inside there. I mean, God, he put his heart into it. He was crying.
Oh.
So it's something to see and experience. You feel this thing. If you watch it on TV, it's okay, but when you're actually there and you feel it, um, you have a different perspective on the whole thing. Um, so that's what happens in Casablanca. If you go to Tangier, it's a different experience.
Mm.
This city is as close as it gets to Europe. It's just right on the other side.
Right.
Because you take from there the boat to go to um, Cadiz in Spain, or you could just take a flight to go wherever you want from there. But if you end up going to
Mm,
Tangier, we take you to the different attractions there. There's like a citadel and some city walls.
mm.
There's some nice streets with cafes and shops and stuff like that. Um, there's also a place where the Beatles went. It's one of the famous spots over there. And they got all these photos of the Beatles over there. Um, it's a nice cafe over there in Tangier.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, bazaars, squares. They even have a synagogue over there. Um, that kind
Yeah,
of
I was
thing.
going to say that there's actually some great Jewish history throughout Morocco as well. So those of you who are Jewish, like I am, there's some interesting sights to see through Morocco.
Indeed, indeed. And then on the 11th day, we typically we take you to the airport and you fly out. For those who want to stay a little bit longer, of course, we can do that. Um,
Hmm.
but a lot of people just say, "Hey, look, I just have 11 days," and we hit the country hard in 11 days, and then you fly
You
home.
do.
Yep, I
So
always do.
you always do. So this is one thing I love about Charlie, of course. And we'll end with talking about how you do your tours, which is you can leave any day you want. There is no requirement to go with your tour group on a specific day. So you want to go Tuesday, you go Tuesday. We make all the custom arrangements for you. Charlie has it down to a science to figure out how to get you the best value no matter when you go. And some things are shared, some things are private, depending on how you want it done. Did you want to tell us how you do this tour? Is it a combination of shared and private?
It can be one of two ways. So the default is half shared, half private. So when you're in the cities, we intentionally make that private because if you got like 8 people and you're going through these narrow streets with different
Mm,
souks and whatever, that can get pretty annoying. And one guy is going this way and another guy's going that way, and you have the tour guide leader saying, "Hey, everybody, come back over here." It's not fun.
right.
People get annoyed with that. So when you're in the cities, we will always make that private. But when we take you out of Marrakesh into, remember I had talked about Dades and Ed Ben Haidu, that village on the
Right.
mountain, and the Atlas Studios, and then you get into the Sahara Desert.
Hmm.
That portion of the tour is typically shared with other travelers. So we know when you want to be with other travelers and have people to experience this with versus
Hmm.
when, hey, leave me alone. I don't want to be waiting around for you to take photos type of thing. There's some people, though, that say, hey, look, we don't want to be with other travelers. Okay, when you're in the desert, okay, that's fine because there's a bunch of people staying there and they're playing music for everybody, not just for you. But there's certain people that say, no, we want our own land transportation. We want our own escort driver. We want our own local tour guides. We don't want to um, share that with other strangers.
Hmm.
And we do that as well. So on that portion from Marrakesh into the Sahara Desert, we will provide private vehicles. So you have both options on that one. It's obviously a little bit more expensive, but both options are given to you there.
And we do customize. So depending, I mean, there's an itinerary, but we do customize as you need. If you want to put in an extra day somewhere for rest or whatever, we can do that. So Charlie, on your basic itinerary, what is our cost per person?
Let me open up
And
the
okay, and
I
while
have
you're looking for that, I just wanted to say that whether you book it through me or you book direct with Charlie, it's the same price. So he's gonna pay me regardless. so so don't think that you're getting a better deal if you go direct with somebody. They the tour providers take care of travel agents, and so they build it into their retail so they don't undercut us normally.
go to Laney.
Thank you,
She'll
Charlie.
just go to Laney. Let me do the serious boring stuff. She's the right person to talk to.
I'm the fun one. He's the
Yeah.
serious one.
Um, so this one, the 11 days with 5-star hotels, based on 2 people, it costs per person 3,264.
Yeah, that's a great price for a tour that it is packing in everything that you would need to do in Morocco. It's a great value. All of your transportation, your guides, entries, everything's included.
Yeah,
Always,
it is.
always a great value with you.
It is great value, and I mean, what you're paying for the hotels and the kind of hotel you're staying in, you'll feel
Hmm.
the value. Even the restaurants. So, just to tell you like a quick one. So sometimes we'll take you in Fez. That's one of the places I talked to you about. Um, Fez. Sometimes we take you to this alley, and it's just this boring looking alley. Like, why are you why are you taking me here? There's nothing here. And then all of a sudden, you just open this door, and all of a sudden, oh my God, what is this? There's a lot of that in Fez. So they've got these restaurants, which you're like, this thing would cost like $20 million in America type of thing. Where there's chandeliers, they're everything. You just
Mm,
look around and you're like, you don't know in the US any restaurant that's that expensive looking like what they've got there. I mean, it is
mm,
just like blow your mind, like like a palace type of thing. So the restaurants themselves are very nice. They're very proud people of their food, especially. They're very proud of their food over there.
mm,
So they don't like giving, even in, to be honest, even in Marrakesh, where it's more like, let's focus more on the tourists and the tourists focus on us. even there, they're proud with their food. So um, they want the presentation of their food to be good. They want the restaurants to look nice and stuff like that. So you're gonna get the value out of that.